Hi, my name is Ilzilkin, and I'm the author of Blue Mountain Mist. I am sitting here today doing a story on Hannah. Now, you have exactly 5 minutes, I've been told, to do the story of Hannah. So here goes. What is important about Hannah? Hannah is very important in history because she was conceived in Ararat and born in Istanbul. But it's not a regular infant. She is brought to the area of stars in Turkey. That is how she gets her name. Now, can she prove this? Very easy. And this event happens in the year 1967 when the first annexation of Israel, the final one, occurs. But is it final? No. She is brought to earth for a particular reason. Now, that is the divination component of the story, and that is a different chapter altogether. In total, if there's 900 stories, they pretty much revolve around Hannah, and that was not planned at all. You have to understand, in the 5 minutes that I'm compressing an entire 100 years, you're just getting a quick overview, and this should be the video number one that you watch just to get a quick summary of Hannah. So after that, she is brought to Canada. She immigrates to Canada at the age of 1. Now, by the age of 10, her mother doesn't do well. She is put with the Black community in the vicinity. Now, is this planned? It is 100% not planned. And New York would know this very, very well because her second home, she is hardcore New Yorker, loves the city to death, more than LA any day. But if we look at New York now, it's not regular New York. This is 1977, immediately after civil rights, a female with blonde hair. Now, this is the authentic version of the story. Now, several years go by, and we're going to skip all of that. But around 1998, if someone was to murder the President of the United States, that would definitely be Hannah's brother, because it countered the church royally when he brought out Turkic as the first linguistic of Earth. Now, what Hannah did with that work is mind-boggling. She added not only the dressing to the boring cake, but also the cherry on top. But when the brother brought it out, she wasn't interested in Turkology at all. She actually got sort of thrown into it. What she was working on was ethics, and at that particular time, she was focused on Iraq war. Now, why was she so interested with the Iraq war? She was trying to figure out why men actually went to war. I mean, she was much younger, and then she started interviewing people in Iraq. And that's when the Pentagon had to send her a message and said, Mrs. Ilkin, please stop, which of course she's very legal. She stopped. But she still focused on ethics and war, and some of the information that came through to her stayed with her for life. So it's a big component in 2003, that Iraq portion of her life. Years later, she gets thrown into Turkology. Now, why is she thrown into Turkology? Because she senses the person she's looking at is not really her brother now anymore. And they are separated again at a particular time. So she's sort of trying to give a gift to someone who may have been doubled in her perspective. If he is out there, he might be somewhere else. She does not know that. But either way, she tries to remedy and give him back the gift of bringing out Turkology as the first linguistic of Earth. This is very important. So that 900 component stories are all linked, and it goes back and forth, back and forth. But around year 2000, she starts catching certain things. For example, like the ghettos in the United States start vanishing. New Orleans is gone. Chicago gets moved out. Things started not to fall into place anymore. She started, and then she visited Detroit. That was a disaster. If someone was to get traumatized initially, that Detroit would be one of it. So again, her backing for ethics came out. With the Turkology and the ethics bit, this is where she gets sort of separated from her children. Wolfville becomes born. Now, Wolfville is the 100 smartest men in the world to try to handle the assassination attempt her brother did by bringing out Turkic as the first linguistic of Earth. But what Hanna does is very, very interesting. She takes her brother's work, she takes her ethics work, and she creates the Sun collection of 70 journals. These journals are mind-boggling. They break a record back to back. But what do Jews do? Not understanding the material, Harvard, Oxford, Yale, UFT team up, and they divide the work into 1,000 pieces. They sell it, or media sells it. Somebody sold it, and left Hanna with nothing in her hand. What did Hanna do at that particular time? She sensed something was wrong. She had already legalized it. So she became, then they wanted to change the story because it was the authentic version. So when we look at the story of Hanna, and Hanna means beautiful mother, when we look at the story of Hanna, you have to understand this person is so huge. And the average person won't get that because, first of all, she's more important than Nelson Mandela. That is for sure. Some of her journals touch on evolution. And this is with great difficulty put on answers that she's generating like this to try to resolve some things that are going back to ethics. She's more important than Christ because of her divination journals. I mean, you have to understand, Hanna changes Jerusalem forever. She's more important than Ataturk. That is another one, because when she does her Tak, and the Tak journal was training that her father gave to her, everything sort of glued, and Hanna sort of got her way in terms of merging humans together. Unfortunately, in the Cluster 3 wars, there were explosion after explosion, and the clusters went up and down, up and down. The wolves are trying to resolve it. Hanna's on the other end fighting with different groups and for different reasons, because it's almost like you are so huge that they don't know how to resolve the Hanna story. So they are saying things like it'll take 100 years to bring out. Well, Hanna is actually finished the Sun collection. Hanna is finished the Let's Evolve. She is simply waiting for the enforcement, and then Canada got invaded. And this was the most horrific thing in the history of humanity. When Hanna made the discovery on July 1st, 2013, not for marketing, just by fluke, that Kanata means wings, we got invaded in a hidden war, and it was really absolutely horrific. And this is where Lucifer's colors came out in full force, fighting with Hanna over the Turkology. There was interagency conflict. They're fighting over the media portion. There was the armed forces who were also battling different communities. It just went up and down and up and down and up and down. Again, there's 900 different stories. We are trying to better ourselves, and what ended up happening is Lucifer just kept killing people in the whole process, and it was just really, really ugly. And this is the story of wealth, and this is the story of corruption, and this is the story of tyranny, and this is the story of not being able to handle beautiful mother, or hitting hard Jews, knowing that the sky picked a female who had children that were multicolored, close to 12 different nationalities, which is very normal in a multicultural setting. They couldn't handle that they started, again, Europe's hand on it, separating people, killing people, murdering. It was again really hard. So here you have it, 5-10 minutes, a quick summary. This is the whole shebang about Hanna, beautiful Hanna. And one of the most interesting things is, prior to her being altered several times, Hanna actually looked like female Christ in a lot of black and white pictures. So, it took years to sort of get her off the enhancers that was placed by the wolves, that was placed onto the wolves in trying to resolve the Alaskan levee break. And that is one that merges humanity together, which Hanna is for, and the men are against, because it impacts culture, it impacts religion. But if there's one female that turn the world upside down, it would be the story of Hannah, which was not done on purpose, which was definitely not planned, and she got horribly injured in that whole production. So if you can support the movie, if you can support The Real Evolve, you'll get a chance to have a peek preview at someone who, like I said, was more important than Nelson Mandela, was more important than Christ, and was more important than Ataturk, with the immense magnitude of things done on humanity. And that is where I am right now. So thank you for your support and have a good day.